Howdy, folks. I'm Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Our first story this evening is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my insane coworker that she was not victimized by a literal toddler? I am a 28-year-old female, and I work with another woman, a 33-year-old female, who is extremely pregnant at the moment. She is on maternity leave and is taking time off right now, but she is very dedicated to keeping our entire office keyed into every little detail of her pregnancy. She spams her ultrasound and updates the baby bump pictures to the office group chat constantly. She has already had the baby shower and is still requesting more stuff for the baby from us. She treats the baby like a child, playing Mozart and playing math podcasts to it so it'll come out with a higher IQ. That's why I wasn't surprised when she showed up at the office to the Bring Your Kids to Work Day to make it about her pregnancy, even though her kid hasn't even been born yet. She started showing all the children her pregnant belly and telling them about it. My other coworker brought her baby too, who is a boy about 1.5 years old. My pregnant coworker approached him and told him that there is a baby inside her, pointing at her stomach. She was wearing a dress. The boy misunderstood since he's a literal baby and tried to look up her dress to see it. My coworker was shocked and screamed at him and startled him, causing him to start crying and shrieking and to run to his mom. The mom was furious and started yelling at the pregnant coworker that she's a lunatic, saying that why is she even here since her kid isn't even born yet. My pregnant coworker started screaming back that this is how predators start out and that she's the victim and the baby needs to be controlled. She turned to me for backup, and I told her that she's insane thinking that she's been victimized by a literal baby. She yelled at me that it's no excuse and that I'm enabling. Both of my coworkers were asked to leave by security. I'm pretty sure her reaction to the baby looking up her dress to find the baby was insane, but maybe I'm losing it. Am I the jerk?
I mean, ableism aside, no.
So, this child was just curious, and I mean,
Right.
Kids are inherently curious, and when you tell a kid that there's a baby out there, they're going to try to look. And I mean, the mom should have been a little more, I guess, had a little closer eye on her child and been like, oh no, dear, don't do that. It's not nice to look up people's, dresses. But the reaction that the other coworker had, I think, was a tiny bit, a smidge, just a smidge excessive.
Right, like I definitely understand not feeling like it's a violation of your privacy for someone, even a child, to look up your dress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine to, feel uncomfortable with that. But I think then trying to say that this kid is a sexual predator doesn't make, because I mean,
I mean, sorry, saying that, oh, this kid's a predator now, or this is enabling predatory behavior, it's just completely like, no.
Yeah, like 1.5 years, this is pure curiosity. You said there's a baby here, kid can't see the baby, so clearly it has to be under your dress. This is just
object permanence.
Yeah, this is just a matter of kids not understanding how pregnancy works.
Yeah.
Like, you can't expect a 1.5-year-old to understand that pregnancy belly is they can't see the child, that like it's just a belly.
Yeah. And then, is this how OP's coworker is going to handle their own child yelling at them and when they exhibit curiosity or something like that? I mean, that's not a good way to handle a child, and it kind of makes me a little worried for their child if they're going to blow up at, some random kid.
I'm more worried for the other kids. I feel like OP's coworker is showing entitled parent behavior, and probably it will be their kid can do no wrong.
Yeah. Well, either way,
There's no good option here. It doesn't sound like
bode well.
Yeah. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to accommodate my infertile neighbor? My husband, a 29-year-old male, and I, a 28-year-old female, have been living here for 5 years, ever since we married. Our previous neighbors were an adorable couple in their 60s to 70s. We had a fairly good relationship and were kind of sad when they left. This year I gave birth to my son, who's 6 months old. When my new neighbors, let's call them Paul and Anna, moved in, I was 2 months pregnant. We weren't friends, but we would say hi to each other here and there. I sunbathe every day. It's something I've been doing since childhood. I was a very anemic kid, and my mom made me do it to help with my anemia. I don't even know if it works, but it is a habit that helps me start the day. This was not a problem until my pregnancy became apparent. The left side of the yard has two kinds of fences, one low, 1.5 meters, that used to have a hedge on the neighbor's side that they cut off, and one taller, 2 meters in the rest of the backyard. It's hard to see from the ground, but they still can see our whole yard and part of our main floor from the second floor. When I was 5 months pregnant, Paul told my husband that my sunbathing was making them uncomfortable. I sunbathed in shorts and a tank top, nothing out of the ordinary. I just ignored them and kept my routine. The following month he did it again. Until my 8th month, I was back from a walk with my husband, and Anna was in front of the house. Once she saw me, she stormed inside and slammed the door. The following day, Paul came to our house and told us that they have fertility problems, and seeing me pregnant was making her heavily uncomfortable, and I was an insensitive jerk. Currently, I am working from home, and the baby is close to me in a playpen in the living room, and we have another in the backyard on the terrace, so I can have him close when gardening or just playing with him. Well, I made his wife uncomfortable again yesterday. I was in the living room playing with the baby when he knocked. He asked me to move from the living room because his wife could see me from their balcony. I told him to tell her to look in the other direction and leave me alone. Today, my husband and I were grilling some meat in the backyard. The baby was hungry, so I started to breastfeed. When I looked at their house, Anna was on the balcony. She went in, and a few minutes later, Paul was at our door again. I gave my son to my husband, and I answered the door. Paul went off on me for breastfeeding in public, again in my fenced-in yard, and being inconsiderate. When he finished, I told him to leave us alone, don't knock on my door again, and if his wife is so upset over seeing a baby, she needs therapy and not him harassing my family. And I will do everything I want in my own home. At the time I felt justified, but I was venting with my mom and she told me I was wrong, and I couldn't understand because I never suffered from infertility and I needed to apologize. So am I the jerk? Edit. I sat down with my husband to talk about the precautions. I was so annoyed that I wasn't thinking about the risks. We will be installing cameras and a taller fence. Unfortunately, their vision from the backyard will stay the same because the city won't let us build one taller than 4 meters, but this will help anyway. I called my dad to get some help with the fence, and he ended up talking to my mom. She called and apologized. She suffered from infertility and postpartum depression. When I spoke to her, she felt Anna's pain, but she also remembered some crazy things she did at that period and gave me some extra precautions to take.
So, what do you think?
I don't...
Totally the jerk.
No, not the jerk. I mean, I do feel bad for Anna that she's dealing with infertility, but OP is right that if seeing other pregnant people or people's children is that upsetting for her, then she does need therapy.
Yeah, well, and then on top of this, they're peeping Toms.
Right, they're looking in OP's house and yard.
I mean, it's literally like, I mean, I understand that there's like certain like levels of you're always going to see into people's yard to some degree or something to that effect. But if it bothers you this much, then you need to not look into their yard. Right. I mean, it's like poking a bear.
You can't just expect other people to not have children and not be pregnant. Like, again, like, I'm sure it is a huge, hard thing for Anna.
Yeah, and this is a completely unreasonable expectation. If it was anywhere remotely to reasonable, then I mean, OP might be able to make some reasonable accommodations. But this is so far out there of reasonability that it's just very difficult to even like know where to begin on how you could make something reasonable out of this.
OP hasn't done anything wrong by just wanting to live their life in their own home. Even out in public, you are allowed to exist
I mean,
with
what
a
is
child.
This woman doing when she's going out in public? Is she like telling all these people not to show off their pregnancy or showing off their children or any number of things here? You know, it's kind of a very unreasonable expectation, and they're unfortunately feeling the brunt of it because they're their neighbors. So yeah. I seriously doubt their neighbor is going around doing this to other people.
Yeah.
Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for refusing to pay for my friend's EpiPen? This is a throwaway because my friends have read it and I don't want them to find this. I have a housemate, Jillian, who's a 26-year-old female and is allergic to peanuts. There are 5 of us who rent a house together, and we all agreed to put a label on our food containers to help keep Jillian safe and avoid contamination. I have a mini fridge in my room where I store my drinks, so I don't have to go to the kitchen if I want a drink in the middle of the night. Well, last Friday, my Filipino girlfriend gave me an authentic Filipino dish for lunch at work. It's kara. It's an oxtail stew with rich peanut sauce in a glass container, and I saved some so I could have it for dinner. When I got home, I put it in my mini fridge, but I forgot to eat it that night because we ordered pizza for dinner. Saturday, I went out with my girlfriend and got home around 9 p.m. When I arrived, Jillian's girlfriend, Trish, confronted me saying that I almost killed Jillian. I didn't know what she was talking about. She went on saying that it was irresponsible of me not to label my food in my mini fridge. I asked one of my housemates what in the world happened, and he said that Jillian had an allergic reaction to my stew because I didn't put a label on the container. I told them that it's inside my personal fridge, and how dare they enter my room. Trish said that they were looking for beer when they saw my stew. She and another housemate ate it. Jillian only tasted it and had an anaphylactic shock where they had to use her EpiPen to stop the swelling. Trish then demanded that I needed to pay for the EpiPen. I told them that it's not going to happen. If anything, they should apologize to me for trespassing and stealing my food. They called me a jerk. She and the 3 housemates said I nearly caused Jillian her life, and the least I could do is apologize and pay for the EpiPen. Am I the jerk? Edit for more info. Jillian was taken to the hospital. No, I never gave anyone permission to enter my room. They were drinking at the time and were looking for more beer. They ate the dish with some rice that they found on top of the mini fridge. I think Jillian ate some of the rice and it had some sauce on it. I didn't get to ask the details of exactly what happened. What? What in the world? Your roommates are terrible.
Yeah, like...
I mean, them being... What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was just going to elaborate that, like... I mean, they went into your room and stole your food, like, and now they're blaming you. Like, you don't go into someone's personal space without their consent and steal their food.
I mean, it's like, oh, look, he has a personal dish of food. You know, if I were them, I would have assumed that there was a good reason why he didn't store it in the fridge.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds like they were all pretty heavily intoxicated and probably like lacking in judgment at the time. And if anything, you know, the friends, the housemates are the ones who most cost Jillian her life because they weren't being careful and they brought food out. And who eats someone else's leftovers without their permission, too?
Yeah, especially home-cooked meal.
Yeah, it's like, are you people serious? And again, like, I can't get over the fact that he didn't store this in the group fridge.
Right, he stored it in his personal mini fridge.
Which I, again, would have taken as a sign of you have to assume that if it's in someone's personal fridge, it might have an allergen in it.
Yeah, well, and like, I mean, peanut sauce, I haven't had this dish, but I have had East Asian cuisine with peanut sauce, and you can usually smell the peanuts. So if it has actual peanut sauce, I'm a little surprised they wouldn't have.
Well, some people who are allergic to peanuts are also allergic to, like, even, like, the smell of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it could have just been that when they opened it up and, like, microwaved it, it was so strong that she had a reaction.
Well, it sounds like the other people were eating it, and you'd think they would have noticed the peanuts and the smell.
Yeah, no, they should have absolutely realized it. Well, they should never have gone into their room. They should never have taken their leftovers. They should never have tried eating their leftovers.
Yeah, so, I mean, generally, even if this had been, like, a careless mistake and Opie had left this in the main fridge and not labeled it, it's still technically his. It would be a nice thing to pay for the EpiPen, but it wouldn't be absolutely necessary. But certainly where it was in his own personal mini fridge, in his own room, which no one has permission to go into, he's absolutely not on the hook here.
Yeah.
Our last story is, am I the jerk for uninviting my mother? I'm a 32-year-old male, my fiance is a 34-year-old female, and my sister is a 16-year-old female, and we all live together. My sister came out as trans at 14 and has been given a hard time for it from our parents. Our parents' house has been damaged, floods in Germany, and it turns out they cannot move back in due to the mass amounts of mold. Me and my fiance have only one space for one extra person, and we decided it would be better for my sister to move in. Well, during her stay, my mother decided to disown her for being trans. Disgusting. I sat down with my fiance that night and had a long chat. We ended up adopting my sister, and I haven't seen her smile like that in years. Turns out our father had been more supportive quietly, making it possible for my sister to start estrogen. None of us are quite sure how, but he works in the medical field, so maybe he pulled some strings. We continued the treatment and she feels far more comfortable in her body. Well, me and my fiance are getting married in a week, and my mother came over to visit us. She flipped when she saw my sister looking more feminine than she remembers and demanded that she be the boy she used to be at the wedding. Tuxedo and the likes. My fiance went nuts, screamed at her for invalidating my sister, for trying to control someone who isn't even in her custody, for trying to control the wedding. I joined in and it turned into a shouting match. My sister quietly said that she can be the boy she used to be for one day, which is when I turned to her and said that she can dress however she likes because that witch isn't going to come to the wedding. Mom left and I apologized to my sister for raising my voice like that, for I felt like she was very uncomfortable. I have been bombarded with messages from my maternal family about uninviting my mom and feeding into her son's delusion. It's been getting a bit too much for me and I'm starting to lose sleep. Should I have been kinder? Am I the jerk? Update. Me, my fiance, and my sister have somehow been formally uninvited by maternal family from the meal before the wedding, which was to be hosted by us. We are currently bent double laughing. Thank you for the kind judgment. We're replanning who's getting invited. Some of the descriptions of the family members are just amazing. I'll nick those next time I have a confrontation with any of them. Update 2. All maternal family members are officially uninvited. Quite a few of my cousins use Reddit, so if you see this, hi! Your aunt is lousy and the story she's telling you is a lie. Update 3. Had the pleasure of waking up to walls of text messages, mainly threats from my maternal family, and after reading your comments, we've decided to hire security. Thank you so much for all the kindness and support. I've shown my sister the comments and she is very appreciative. Wedding is on Wednesday. I'll update on the situation if I can. Also found someone trying to imitate my mom. Should never go on Reddit, so please don't believe that troll.
Well, the thing I can't get over here is that they uninvited them from the family dinner
That they were hosting?
How do you do that? I mean, they can go and have their own little family dinner if they want, but I don't understand like how they would invite them from the wedding dinner here, you know?
I know. It's so absurd.
Like, they probably have the reservations under their name, so it's going to be mighty hard to uninvite them from that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that this situation's kind of sad in a lot of ways, and it's unfortunate that it kind of went down the path that it went down. And it's too bad that this is really causing like the family to be split apart like this. But again, like I think they shouldn't be hateful people.
Yeah, exactly. Like just don't be transphobic and there's not an issue. I mean, the sister has every right to show up at the wedding in whatever she feels comfortable in. And so I think trying to force her into something she's not is just completely not cool. And the mother definitely deserved to be uninvited if she was going to try insisting on that. And anyone who sides with her, like if they can't be there for the couple and, you know, support the sister, then they don't need to be there either.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye! And I couldn't understand because I never suffered. I can't say suffered.
Yeah, suffered. I mean, you were right. It's suffered.
And I couldn't understand because I never suffered.
Suffered.